G'day, mate, and welcome to Friday Facts number 437, Cargo Pod Deep Dive, and I have my deep diving friend. How you doing, Mojo?
Hello.
So today, we're going to talk about the cargo pods, which, I want to reiterate, we were allowed to start showing parts of Space Age a week prior to its release. And then I think this dropped in 2 days prior to release.
Yeah, it was very close to release.
Yeah, it was very much a last minute thing. And look,
I wasn't expecting it.
I was not expecting it at all. We just teleported beforehand? I don't even remember.
Yeah, just the rocket went up as if you put a tank in it.
It was the old style animation
or something. Yeah, it was the old rocket, and it just went up, and then you just appeared on the platform.
Oh no! It was the old rocket, and then I'm pretty sure we got the new rocket for like one update, one day, and then the day after that they added the animation.
Something like that, yeah.
It was really, really close. And it's an animation that I have to say, normally when I see lots of games, lots of animations, that don't get me wrong, somebody has spent many countless hours on doing. I watch them once, they're great. I watch them twice, they're still good. I watch them 5 times, then I'm done. And I just want to hit the escape button. I want to skip. I've seen enough. But the funny thing is, the player transferring between platform surfaces, I actually haven't done it that many times that I'm sick of it. I think I've only gone from planet to platform and platform back to planet like 10 times in 200 hours? Maybe?
You don't do it that often.
No. So.
All hail remote view.
Oh, yeah. I've spent 40 hours on Glaber. And I was, got a separate series from the Let's Play that I'm doing on stream. I was setting up a ship to go to Aquilo, and I was ready to launch the ship to Aquilo and forgot that I was still sitting on Glaber. So I remembered, and I got in a ship, and I went back to Narvis. They got on my Aquilo ship, rather than having the Aquilo ship pick me up on the way through. But, I just remote view. Yeah, I was working on every planet but Glaber while standing on Glaber. So we've seen the expansion already. Most people have seen it in the game. Positive reception makes them very happy, and I don't blame them. It's a really good animation. It really...
It is, yes.
It adds so... It's just one of those little details that, thoroughly enjoy. Really, really do enjoy this one. It's not even one I want to speed up. Because that's, trying to think. Tectonica. Tectonica just had its 1.0 release. And you go around with a little scanny thing. Originally, you scan all these items to unlock technology. And when the game originally came out, the scanning was slow because it was really cool the first time. But then it was slow even when you'd scanned the 100th item. And then they updated along the way that the first scan was really slow because it was the first time. And then every scan after that was much faster. Even this animation, I don't need a faster version. 30 seconds is fine. So visual design. The initial draft of the pod being released from the set of claws came from Arendelle. You can see the essence of it has remained relatively untouched throughout development. In the very first version, the players need to insert a capsule item into the rocket to travel. It got scrapped because it was just pointless busy work, thank God. However, that item was one of the ingredients of the mech armor. Hence the visual similarity. Following the draft, Jersey modeled a 3D version of the claw, rocket, and pod. I gotta say, the claw rocket is really cool. It's much better than the current modern versions of the rockets that just split in half, and half it goes back and the rest keeps going. This seems much more Factorio, that a giant claw holds onto the end of the rocket. Then the range laying dormant for a long time until the core gameplay code was finished and working resumed on less critical features such as fancy flight animations. I recruited the help of Jaroslav, who had just finished his modeling work on the hub, the pad, and the landing hatches, together with his modeling and volumetric cloud simulations, and my coda and shading work, and Ian's audio. We all published everything for the main release. Like I said, 2 days prior to release. Yeah. And yeah, the only thing I can see has changed is cargo and passenger pods. There's no difference in game. Everything looks like a cargo pod, and we never got
it's just the one pod.
Yeah, we never got the passenger pod version 2.
Which is just like the pod from City 17.
Okay.
It's just painted white.
Okay. All right.
I do like how the cargo and passenger pods have Sputnik stuck on the top too.
Huh?
For those who know, they see it. They should be able to see it now. It looks like it's got a little Sputnik stuck on top.
Sure, but what's the current Russian? The current Russian cargo module personnel moving module thingy they use for space.
What's it?
Yeah, because they still have the rounded dome part, but they ditched that.
Yeah.
It's the back half, and they ditched that on the way back. It's the service module for it. I can't remember what the Russian one's called. If I saw it, I'd know it. But where are these pods headed? Before any graphic work could begin, it's necessary to develop a background of how the items would move from one surface to another. At that point in time, logistics requests functioned fine, but they just teleported the items instantly. Taking inspiration from the rocket, which had an inventory, could carry items, decided to make the cargo pod its own new entity. While the rocket would take care of the flying out of a silo, it would be shed on the original surface, and the pod would have the functionality going to another surface. The second and trickier part of the equation were the destinations. Even the vanilla, and then this is a name of some gelato, it turns out, that I'm not even going to try and pronounce, but I'll let Mojo pronounce it.
Strakakala? Strakakala? Stratakala?
There's a T in there.
Strakitelia. I could say it earlier.
See,
this
is why I let Mojo do
pressure
this.
On.
Yeah. Okay.
I corrected you perfectly before, and now I can't speak it. Now
That's all right.
It's vanilla with chocolate drizzled on top of it. For those wondering,
the record light goes on. Okay, talking instantly becomes 80% harder. All right. Space age and
Strakatella.
You done now?
Yes.
Okay. Space age pods travel from silos and hubs, and from hubs to landing pads. 2 of those may be further extended with cargo bays, which added more hatches, but aren't destinations themselves. So, to the stations. The solution was introduced stations, a layer of abstraction where all the buildings involved in orbital logistics register with their force and receive a unique ID. Any hatch on a cargo bay just joins the existing station. Then to address items to another surface, all we need is surface, force, station, hatch. Depending on the usage, some of these are optional. Starter pack rocket does not need any destination. Traveling player can launch towards a planet and only resolve whether the target is a ground pad or at the apex, i.e. somewhere around 0, 0. Logistics order will know its station beforehand. The nice effect of having generic logic is that technically shipping can go between any 2 surfaces of the game. So hopefully we can get to a situation where we can have one platform in space, a second platform in space, around the same orbit, and they can launch stuff between one another. Please.
Platform teleporting.
I'm happy to put a rocket silo on my spaceship. I've built many rocket silos on my spaceship. The only thing stopping me actually fueling them up is I'm not allowed to place them on the space platform. Which is
put nukes into your rocket turrets.
Oh, you can do that. You can do that. Yeah.
I know.
It's a good way of dealing with asteroids and also probably blowing off the front of your ship.
It's the no one wins solution. It's the if you can't have it, no one can.
There are some really big asteroids, and nukes are a really good option. We can make shipments go between any 2 surfaces in the game with any amount of stations, even useful in base game where Rocket Silo could target their own landing pad with space science and would just work out the box. I didn't want to restrict the potential by hardcoding everything to just planets and platforms. And then we have his notes from where he was trying to mentally organize this and also work out the GUI for how this was going to work. And yes, the only thing I really want, I have to admit, is I really want to have some sort of building I can build that I can launch things sideways from one platform to another. Yeah, I have to admit it.
That'd be nice.
because that then gives you merit to having a large platform around a planet that, rather than launching things down, you're launching things sideways. Also means that you need to work out how to make rocket fuel and also low density structures and blue circuits on a space platform, or just launch them up and call that the cost of business.
Imagine a platform supply platform.
Oh,
Like
well,
that refits and fuels and all that.
yeah, imagine a
Or
platform
even
that
builds
flies
them.
between the platforms around the different planets to resupply the platforms with more platform stuff like uranium. Yep.
Yes.
So assembling the cutscene puzzle. Just like with the station system, I did not want to hardcode animations either. Custom planets will be the first things to mod in. Not yet, but I'm waiting for it. So my priority has been allow as much customization as possible. Every detail on the flight animation is provided by the fully moddable precision system. Each space location provides its own set of departure and arrival animations to the planet itself and any space platform in orbit. For instance, when a pod gets issued to fly from a platform around Vulcanus down to the surface of Vulcanus, it would take the Vulcanus platform departure and Vulcanus planet arrival animations that match in style and stitch them together. Sometimes the pod has to wait in transit for a hatch to open up. In that case, the Vulcan style intermezzo looping animation can be inserted between past time. And I really want to now overload a planet and then launch down and be stuck in orbit for who knows how long, falling slowly. Yep. It's on my wish list now. My bucket list.
It would be interesting to see. I just have no idea how you would do it.
I think you'd have to bring in multiple large ships, have them do a set request.
You have to orchestrate it very precisely.
Well, I think you'd have to bring in a bunch of large ships, have them all do like everything to trash, have the platform on the planet have plenty of cargo bays so they can accept multiple launches at the same time. Also wrap the hub in inserters with active providers so you get stuff out as fast as possible so you can queue up more drops. And then after they arrive with much cargo bays and start mass launching, then click the drop to planet and see how long you have to wait. And you have to do that on a different ship that has nothing that it's dropping down. So you don't have to wait in your own internal queue to get a hatch that you can launch from. I don't know. It's a bucket list item. See how well I can break a game. So, zooming further, each position has a timeline composed of a variable number of layers. These layers control various aspects of the animation or draw graphics, many aspects of them driven by 1D, 2D, and 4D Bezier curves, and then normalized variants. So, yeah, it's spline it up. Anyway, who's done video, animation, all sorts of things, have seen these before. Yep, they're very, very common.
And very powerful.
Yes. And for modern views, I published my own Factorio spline editor online. It's very difficult to get the shapes right without it. As a bonus, also export the curves directly in the desired format. And then we have the descent. And we have, yes, launch, the twist, the slow down, the aero brake. And then
the clouds as we transition the surface.
Oh yeah, the clouds, and then the final break at the end. And solar panels wrap up because we're landing inside the hub. And yes, we can see that, yes, we have pod movement, the pod opacity, so it slowly appears. We have the opening of the wings, the spin, the more open wings animation, the thruster, and the star in the background, which is one of those minor things that they fade in over time. Yep. There's right here. You move from one set of stars to a different set of stars. Yeah, and then same in the reverse. This is exactly how it's cut together. So, a simplified version of the timeline, flying down from planet to a surface, highlighting each of the precision layers active to make the final look. And then we have the cloud technology, which I didn't really realize. I know they'd done it. I know they had made it very seamless to move between like the black night sky and then the planet, and each of the clouds are different between each of the different planets, along with they each have a set of LUT tables, so the colors look very different between the different planets. And I guess I was gonna say the best way to describe LUT tables is if you go look at what was the TV show? CSI. If you go look at CSI, then CSI Miami, Las Vegas, New York. I don't know. There was like 5 different seasons, 5 different spin-offs, and everyone had very, very specific LUT colors that made them look very different. So you can see any scene
That
from any one of them.
made them very different for what is essentially the same show.
It is essentially
Just
the show.
extruded from the same Play-Doh machine.
100% the same, but it means you could look at any one scene or one still from any one of them, and as long as you knew it was CSI, you could then pick which one it came from just by the colorscape of how everything looked, how everything was colored. I think New York was the most prominent because it was really dark and dull, whereas Miami, everything was oversaturated, and then
An orange.
and orangish, yeah, and Vegas
Yep.
was just normal. Like it was not shot with any special LUTs.
I think it was shot with it had a mixture of a bit of orange for the desert and then very bright indoors. I never really watched them though, and it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, but it is one of those shows that really stands out for like you're right. It's the same piece of Play-Doh over and over and over, but they had very, very different LUTs, and you could look at scenes side by side and just pick which show they were from instantly, because they just color differently. But yeah, clown animation. So here we can see the clown animations working, and well as the animation appears seamless as a cloud layout, at some point the whole screen needs to be covered up to maintain the illusion when the pod teleports from one surface to another. Just swiping a flat image across the screen would have been surface. In fact, Albert favored leaning into a more stylized aesthetic. My opinion, we would get a very impressive looking animated edge with very little work. All I did was ask Jazzlo to generate a depth texture for the clouds. When the edge fades, instead of being multiplied by a flat value, it cuts the clouds off at a certain depth. That way they come in a screen in clumps and bleed naturally instead of forming a thick wall. And this means that, yes, you end up with the clouds just sort of appearing over time as they cloud in, I guess, from the top, well, from the bottom.
Clouding over.
Yeah, the cloud over. Yeah, good, much better wording. Yep. Funnily enough, this is landing in Narvis because we can tell by the guns and stuff, but it looks like it has the Gleber LUT table.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like it's trying to land on Gleber.
Yeah, when the cloud animation's finished, which are really, really cool. The fact that they fade in, they fade out, they have some sort of 3D depth, but that looks Gleber. That green is very Gleber-like. But the trees look Narvis. And I've never seen a stone patch that big, ever. Ever on Gleber. Never. Yeah, that definitely looks like the Gleber LUT table. So it manually just demonstrate the soft edge of the shader of the cover layers. Cool. And then Clash of Mods. Whilst this functionality sounds extremely powerful already, as I start to make the final cutscene for Space Age, I don't remember there being a final cutscene, but I haven't got there yet. It became evident to me that mods wouldn't be able to live in harmony like this. If every aspect of the animation lives inside these timelines, then any new pod, planet, or station would have to do unbearable amounts of work to integrate itself with all existing precisions, creating countless duplicates that only differ in several sprites. Thankfully, we have one more trick up our sleeve. The current version of planets all in fact use the same flat animation prototype. The way we introduce appropriate variants is through the use of catalogs. A catalog is basically a list of image or sound that the preceding animation can refer to. Instead of having a predefined asset, the procession will refer to catalog ID and then specify where to look for it. So space location catalog can tell you how the local clouds and fog look like. Pod catalog can provide special animations to play, such as opening solar panels, or even textures for overlays like re-entry flames and thruster sounds. Hatch catalog can provide the graphics for illumination when the pod thrusters get close, so we could have green flames rather than red flames. I want to say
Hydrazine hype?
Well, I know. I want to say it's Venus because of the makeup of Venus's atmosphere. That they've already worked out that any rocket engines fired for aero braking or breaking into Venus's atmosphere, the cloud, the thruster, smoke, color, light, whatever, is going to be different, very different, because of the atmospheric makeup.
The sulfuric acid and the CO2.
Yeah. All the fun stuff. Yeah. And I want to say it's going to be like a more green bluish tinge. Doesn't matter what fuel you're using, rather than the typical red orange, or blue occasionally. So any missed graphical sound can just be skipped. New planets will at least play some animation. If they forget to define clouds, new pods can arrive in their own frame sprites and still at the right times. New cargo bays or hubs can just say their illumination looks different and not touch any of the precession data. If you're feeling fancy, give your planet an entirely new timeline, but still utilize the pod animations and planet sprites from the default Space Age catalog IDs. For example, a parachute sprite can be added to the pod catalog and the flight speed slow down significantly, which sounds really cool. Any third-party modding adding a new pod type would have the option to support your planet by just defining a parachute graphic and nothing else. That is actually really cool. I'm waiting for a planet you need to land at that just requires parachutes and no thrusters. I'm waiting for modded planets outright. Yeah, considering what they've added with different pressures, different magnetic... I can't remember. The magnetic properties
Pressure,
of the
magnetic
different...
field.
Yeah, magnetic field, that's the ones.
Gravity.
Gravity? Actually, they do have gravity, but nothing's made use of it yet. No, nothing's made use of it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I know.
What do the big mining drills need? And the foundry.
They need to have the pressure on Vulcanus.
Oh, okay, they were pressure.
Their pressure, I want to say. But yes, they've added a lot of details, a lot of minor details to the planets, which means it definitely has opened up for modders who want to add different items to different planets to make them unique and make both unique whole planets along with potentially making unique buildings that can only be crafted on unique planets. I already know there has been a mod that is like all the planets mashed together, and you could research it after you've visited all the other planets you finished. The end game, you can then research this brand new planet, which I believe you get to travel to. From memory, it's a new destination you get to travel to, which is then all the planets mashed together.
I saw someone came up with a whole new planet that combines Narvis and Gleba, but it's in permanent darkness, and it introduces light-based technology.
Oh wow! Okay. Well, look, Factorio was already a game that you could play it for 10,000 hours, the base game, and then you could get into mods. Now we have Space Age, which means at least 20 or 30,000 hours of your life is now gone, and then you have mods.
It's going to keep you going for the next 10 years.
I think this is the best $70 anybody has ever spent. Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah, but that does bring us to the end of Friday Facts number 437. My question is, Mojo, guesses for next week, because both of us were very wrong with this one.
Oh, yeah, I don't even know now.
We're out of guesses. We're out of guesses. We're just going to find out what's going to happen next week.
Yep.
All right, well, that's it from us. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed, and we'll have a chat to you next week with Friday Facts number 438. All right, that's it. We're out. Bye.
See ya.